We're looking at the long range in this video. We'll take a big picture look at what's happening across North America, a huge flip in areas where it's been dry, well, rain is on the way. Plus, we have to watch the tropics off the southeast coast, also into the Gulf, a few possibilities to keep an eye on. We'll look at the newest data coming in from the Climate Prediction Center. And we're going to look region by region around the country what we can expect over the coming days. Let's jump right into the surface map. High pressure across the northeast, keeping things dry, but we are starting to see precipitation increase across the Ohio Valley into the Great Lakes. Across the west, a strong storm is moving into the Pacific Northwest, at least in the upper levels, and that's going to move east. It's going to cut off, and it's going to bring quite a bit of rain further to the east into the plains and eventually into the eastern U.S. And it's one of the reasons that when we look at the precipitation outlook in just a moment for the next 7 days, maybe even the next 2 weeks, we're definitely going to see more rain across this part of the country. We're drying out, though, across the Pacific Northwest as we head into Wednesday, and it's very active up across the Pacific Northwest into British Columbia, Alaska. Another storm moving into this region, bringing more rain, more wind, more snow. An upper low is going to cut off as we head toward the end of next week. At least that's what all the signs are pointing to, and that means some really wet weather. I think it's going to be cool underneath this too, and it's one of the reasons temperatures here aren't going to be really that hot compared to what we've seen lately. Although I think temperatures are going to be above average for this time of year, not just as we end September, but into October. Now, once we head into next weekend, we're going to see more showers across the eastern U.S., and then another area of low pressure looks like it's going to impact the coastal areas of Alaska into British Columbia. This one could be a little colder, dropping those snow levels down as we head into next weekend, which we'll look at in just a moment. But there you go, pretty active as we wrap up September. And then one has to wonder, are we looking at our first big snowstorm here across the prairies of Saskatchewan and Manitoba? Still pretty far out on that. One thing's for sure, we're starting to see more snow show up across the high latitudes of North America, mostly across Alaska into the mountains. This is not snow accumulation, this is snow depth. So you do get some melting. It's one of the reasons it's not sticking. But let me show you where it's starting to stick, and that's over into Siberia. After a couple of snow and thaw cycles, it really starts to stick once we head toward the end of the month across this region, and that means that cold air is definitely going to start building once we see that. Over the last 30 days, it has been really dry across Missouri, Illinois, Iowa, also into the northeast. We've had pockets of showers here along the coast of Connecticut and Rhode Island, back here into the Tennessee Valley, but it's been pretty dry across eastern North Carolina too, and all along the Gulf Coast states. That changes. Look at the precipitation through Sunday the 28th, a wide swath of rain expected and maybe some relief to what we're seeing into the northeast. The drought monitor continues to show extreme drought into parts of New Hampshire and Maine, with a large area of severe drought here into the parts of the northeast. We've also got widespread severe drought across a good part of the Ohio Valley into parts of West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee. It really picks up too once you head back into Missouri, Illinois, and West Tennessee and Kentucky. There has been some relief to the widespread drought that we've seen across the West, but extreme drought continues to persist. Some of this is also long-term drought, and I think that's a concern as we head into the winter, as your storm track would be further to the north and west, keeping it quite dry across the southwest. This isn't the weekly winter weather outlook. I'll do another one Monday night into Tuesday, so make sure you subscribe and come back. If you're brand new, I'm Travis. I spent years in TV as a chief meteorologist. I've been out of that business a while. And today, I'm reorganizing the studio completely from top to bottom. So for all the OGs, that's why it looks a little different. Let's look at the newest data from the Climate Prediction Center, the 6 to 10 day outlook. It's going to be near normal here, and that's what I was talking about. Just because we've got the rain and the clouds, I think that just squelches what would likely be a really hot into the month as this upper low spins across this part of the country. We'll look at that in just a second. And then as we head through day 14, which was also updated on the 19th, this takes you through the 27th through the 3rd. We are really above average, and I think that is the idea. However, the Climate Prediction Center picking up on the idea that we start to develop a little more northwest flow as we head into the first couple of weeks of October. I don't know about this, but let's wait and see. Some of the models were hinting at a big cool down towards the 1st of October, and that may skew some of those temperatures around the Great Lakes. Otherwise, above average expected across the West Coast and the East Coast and the Gulf Coast. And if you look at the upper level chart, once you head towards the 10th, the 11th, and the 12th of October, your trough axis is sort of like this. So that might lead to an idea that we could be cooler than average in this part of the country. although I'm not completely sold on it. Let's start off across the northwest. This system that's moving ashore here is going to dive off to the south and east. It's going to bring impacts further to the east across the Central Plains, the Mississippi River Valley. Many of you are going to be impacted by this system. I'll show you how all that will evolve, but more rain across the Pacific Northwest into the Intermountain West. Some high mountain snow into the Canadian Rockies possible with this cold pocket of air, and it could also bring some snow into the high elevations of Wyoming. This meandering upper low is going to eventually move out into the plains, and that's where things will get interesting into next week. We'll look at that in just a second, but we have another upper low moving back into Southern California, bringing moisture north. It could bring some more heavy rain to this part of the country. Again, I guess good news considering the long-term drought this region is in. Maybe too much of a good thing. And then as we head into Thursday and Friday, look at the moisture. It sticks around the southwest with more showers all the way through the end of next week. So good news again in this region where it's been very dry. The bad news is it may come too quickly. And then heading into next weekend, into the following week, again, we're pushing things really far out. I think this piece of energy has to be watched. It could be a lot colder, and that could bring heavier snow for the mountains across this area. Further to the east, we're going to show you how that upper low is going to impact things as we head through the weekend. Scattered showers, a few strong storms possible on Saturday. All of this starts to push to the east as we head into Sunday and Monday, and then we dry out across the central U.S. Here comes that upper low moving out of the Rockies. Out ahead of it, there could be some strong storms. Still too early to really call that, but we're definitely cloudy. We're definitely seeing the rain as this area of surface low pressure moves across Missouri. Underneath it, it's going to be cool, damp, cloudy, a little bit drier though on the backside of this, so some cooler temperatures on the way and also some drier conditions trying to push down into the central U.S. as high pressure settles in over Texas. That's going to drive some of that cooler air pretty far to the south. And then this upper low, and really it's a stacked low, your surface low almost right underneath it, moving toward the Great Lakes. It's meandering, so I think forecasting these things are always a challenge, but the idea that it stays cloudy and cool, I think, is here. And then as we head into next Friday into Saturday, we could still be dealing with this across the Tennessee Valley. Further to the east, high pressure keeping things dry through at least the first half of the weekend in many areas. It's anchored pretty strongly here across Maine. Showers starting to increase in coverage across parts of the mid-Atlantic, also back across Michigan, Indiana, Illinois as we head into Sunday. A little bit wet here, and the wet weather starts to push a little bit further to the east. So now we're looking at rain into Ohio as we head into Sunday night into Monday. And then eventually, it starts to move into parts of New York, Pennsylvania, and then wet across the Tennessee Valley into the Mid-South as our front drops to the south. Rain chances going up for the Northeast as we head into Tuesday. Again, good news for these drought-stricken areas. And then your front really just kind of stalls out. If anything, you start to feel the influence of that upper low, which brings that moisture back to the north. So next week, significantly different across this part of the country. And then let's push this really far out. This is an operational run, so I don't know that I would believe it too closely, but an interesting coastal low trying to show hints at development heading into the next week.